Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing? It's Packers. Go Pack Go. Let's do this. Okay, I'm just so intense that I forgot the actual intro. But this is the 2-point conversion. It's still the same show. That's the name of the show, Dan. The 2-point conversion Monday Night Football game show. That's not it, right? That's not right. I messed that up already. That's okay. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to get to my co-host. I'm Kyle Senner. No one needs to know that. But we've got Dan. We've got Gladys. Dan, you were here first. So I'll give you the first intro. You were here before even I was. How are you doing?
I am alive, my friend. I am buzzing for a really interesting game today. I
Me
think
too.
it's going to be interesting. I for some reason, I feel like there's points in this game. I feel like they're very evenly matched. I know that says something. Raiders, what are they, 2-2 as well, right? I feel like they're just
thought they had just one win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like they're not that far away from being a decent team. They're not too. they're not too bad. They're kind of weird, and everyone hates them for like McDaniels. Like everyone hates him. It's like, okay, well, cool, but they're really not that bad to watch. Like they've had some competitive games, so this will be an interesting game, I think.
Gladys, do you find it to be as interesting? Or
no. I tried selling it. I tried.
No Aaron Jones. So you know that the Packers are going to be slinging the ball, which is fine. And Devontae Adams, I don't even buy that whole revenge game thing. I don't think he even cares that he's going back to Green Bay. And Jimmy Garoppolo, coming back from concussion protocol, might wish that he was still in concussion protocol after this game is over. Jaire Alexander's back. I think that it's going to be kind of a rout, actually. I don't think it's going to be interesting at all. I think the Raiders are going to lose, and they're going to lose big.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's I sincerely hope you are correct.
I'm sure you do.
Now, I guess you said something that I wanted to comment on.
Okay.
But I forgot what it was. Oh, yeah. I was checking to see what the Raiders' actual record is. I guess that was Dan's thing.
Yeah, that was Dan's.
Yeah, Raiders are 1-3.
1-3.
And so far, their only win is to a team whose only win is against the Bears, which is the Denver Broncos. Their team out very happily. Yeah, go Pack Go. All right, that's the show. No, no. Of course, what we're gonna do as the premise of the show is talk about the game through underdog contests, whether it's the game contests for the total points scored, or the projection for which team will win, or specific player projections as well. Underdog has all sorts of great contests, and if you are not yet signed up for Underdog Fantasy, you can do so two ways. You can do so without doing these things, but you won't get the bonuses of the promo code or the QR code. Promo code is GF2, or you can scan the QR code that you see on screen, which, by the way, head over to the Going for Two live YouTube page for the video if you want that QR code. If you are listening to audio, even after the fact, it doesn't have to be live, you can still have access to that QR code. Again, scanning that or using the promo code GF2 when you make that initial sign up to Underdog will give you a double deposit match on your first initial deposit, up to $100. So whatever you put in, Underdog will double it, and you'll have that much money in your account. So if you decide to take full advantage of the $100, put in $100 in that first deposit, you will have $200 in your account. You could use it even on this Packers-Raiders game tonight, or I think the NHL is starting this week, and NBA in a couple weeks. WNBA finals. I mean, there's tons of different contests. And, baseball playoffs. No one cares about that, right? Miss Metman?
Yeah, Mrs. Met. She's
Mrs. Metman, sorry.
She's already gone. That's tucked away for now. That's not a good year for the Mets.
Well, the Blue Jays have made the playoffs 3 straight years and have, I think, 0 playoff wins in those 3 years, so that's fun. Luckily, I'm a way bigger Packers fan than Blue Jays fan, so forget the Blue Jays. We're here to see the Packers win tonight.
Actually, someone's excited to see them.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited to see the fact that they're underdogs too. I thought that was a little shocking. I mean, I guess I could start with the mini rant, but I know you said the teams are kind of evenly matched. I think the Raiders are kind of a disaster. I also hate Josh McDaniels. I don't think he's a good head coach. I think they should have just stuck with Rich Bisaccia, which the Packers get the benefit of now that he's their special teams coordinator.
Yeah, they seemed to rally around him last year, right? 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what got them into the playoffs. And Derek Carr almost won his first playoff game.
Amazing.
Still hasn't got there.
Amazing.
I think it's more of his revenge game than it would be a Davante Adams revenge game.
Thank you. Revenge game. That's what it was. That's what I wanted to comment on. Sorry. Interrupting.
I'm here for you, Kyle. I'm here for you.
Whose revenge game is it?
Well, that's the thing. Davante Adams was drafted by the Packers, was paid handsomely on a couple contracts, basically was given all the targets he wanted while he was there, and then when he wanted to leave and go to a specific team, they lived his requests. They traded him right to the spot he wanted to go, and he got handsomely paid. I don't see how Adams could feel like he should get revenge on the Packers, because he got everything he absolutely wanted.
It's not a Packers revenge game. That's what I said. It's not an Adams revenge game.
If anything, it's the Packers defense is going to try and take revenge on him.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think
what up, Jamie?
He did the job. He was a part of a hell of a trio with Cobb and Nelson at one point, and he's an amazing servant for them. They paid him handsomely, and he went where they wanted to go because he wanted to link up with Carr, and they duly obliged, and he got paid by them as well, and they got something for it too. I mean,
I think
I don't know.
Kyle just said all of that.
Revenge? There's no revenge.
I'm not really sure. I think Kyle just said all of that.
Well, I wanted to see if Dan had a rant, because that was my sort of mini rant. I guess it wasn't much of a rant. It was more just angry yelling.
Like a Canadian rant? That was a Canadian rant.
Something very polite.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, hi, everyone. There was a Canadian football game on today, and for a while, the score was 1-0. I made the joke on Twitter that it's the most Canadian football thing for halfway through the second quarter, a rouge has been the only thing scored in a CFL Thanksgiving Monday game day.
Thanksgiving game.
It's a rouge. Sounds like
a rouge, since the color of my wall is red, we could explain it. First off, rouge is French for red. I'm not sure why they chose that as the name, but it's a single point that is gained basically as a touchback. So if you kick the ball into the opponent's end zone, like on a kickoff or something, or a punt, doesn't really happen on either very often, but if it happens, you get a point, but the other team gets the ball at the 30 or 35 of a 110-yard field, because the field is longer. So the idea is it's more difficult to kick it into the end zone.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so the kick, like in the NFL, the kicking team really should just every kickoff kick the ball, because you never want to give a big return, right? But in the CFL, the rules are meant to try and encourage returns as much as possible. There's no such thing as a fair catch. So if you're the returner, you have to return it. But the coverage team also has to give 5 yards, or that's a 15-yard penalty if you the catch point. So there's no fair catch, but the receiver will always be given the returner will always be given the opportunity to return it. So
funny about weird sports and all that sort of stuff. The game, obviously, where I'm from is rugby league primarily. My local team is the world champions. Go figure. Shout out Panthers. But it's funny because it's funny how you see like different codes have different interpretations of a kickoff, right? So like, if we were to score a touchdown, which is what's called a try, you score a try in rugby, you score a try in rugby league, whatever, it's the same thing. For the ball to be played back, the team that conceded the try has to kick it to the team that just scored. So now you got to stop him again. So like that'd be kind of cool to see. Like say Patrick Mahomes takes the team 90-yard touchdown, you got to kick it back to him again, just to see what like that. You got to actually stop him. Like you can't just you can't just get the ball back because you were kind of shit. No, you have to stop him again. He gets another crack, and you're going to stop him again if he scores again. Like it's really. I think that's kind of a way to go. It's like, oh man, he scored a touchdown. Well, maybe we'll just stay off the field for 5 minutes, catch our breath. No, you got to stop him again. I think that's kind of cool way to do it too.
Yeah, that's fair. One thing that's always confused me about rugby and football is a try in rugby is when the player has to go into the score zone, the end zone. I don't know what it's actually called, but then not just be in there, but actually put the ball on the ground, almost like the ball has to touch down on the ground. Yet we call it a try. And if they don't have to do that in football, they just have to cross a plane and it's a touchdown. That's always confused me.
You also call football a game that's played with your hands and not with your feet. So let's not get into that.
And the one dude that does use his feet is always like, oh, the kicker's not a real football player.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah. Don't get me started. From a guy that comes from a football background, you don't play football, you play. I'm going to stick with it. You play gridiron. Those are fighting words. American football is gridiron because you don't play football, you play handball.
Well, so would Canadian football, and that would kind of allow them to be. They're both forms of gridiron football, or gridiron. It's gridiron pigskin.
Until you all start passing the ball with your feet. I'm sorry.
And to answer Jamie's question on this culinary question here, what type of food is served at Canadian Thanksgiving? Honestly, it's basically the same as American Thanksgiving. Traditionally, it's just like turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing.
Poutines.
I mean, here's the thing: like anyone can eat whatever they want on any day. So I'm sure there's some people that make like a turkey Thanksgiving themed poutine. Like especially in Quebec, I'm sure that's probably exactly what they do. My wife actually made a like a lasagna. Basically, the big difference was instead of it being tomato sauce, she used like a pumpkin sauce essentially to kind of give it a Thanksgiving lasagna feel. So
the correct answer, Jamie, is a 20-pack of Tim Hortons Timbits. There you go.
Use maple syrup instead of gravy. That honestly would be amazing. Might just use both, to be honest.
Oh.
There's a wing place here where they put maple syrup and bacon on the wings. I love those. Okay, we're stopping to talk about Canada. Let's go to Green Bay. Actually, this game's in Las Vegas. Let's go really far away from Canada to Las Vegas. Talk about the Packers and Raiders. Unless, Dan, you have a rant you wanted to do before we get started here.
I have nothing except for, protect your quarterback, Giants. Jesus Christ. The guy's been sacked like 20 times in 2 weeks. You wonder why he's got a sore neck. No, he's a bad quarterback. No. Because he's got no neck left. Oh, God. You know what's funny is absolute numpty quarterbacks, they get sacked 5 times in the game. They blame their line, but Jones gets sacked 30 times in 3 weeks, and he's a bad quarterback. What is he meant to do? Just be slaughtered. No, you know what? He's not a good quarterback. He just gets sacked a lot. But you see, other ones do it at the same time. Oh, man, their line is just no good. What? I can't. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of actually defending it. Good week, I think, all around. I thought it was actually an exciting week. I absolutely got killed by one guy in my home league, the one that I commissioned. The guy happened to manage to start DJ Moore, Justin Fields, Travis Etienne, Calvin Ridley, a few others that went off as well. I got absolutely destroyed. It's IDP as well. The guy put up nearly 400 points, so not much you can do about it. And I went, okay, let's see how we can go. You know what, I'm going to play Curtis Samuel this week. I played him for the matchup. Was there. Put up 20 points, which is great. DJ put up 55. I was like, okay, that's where I'm starting from. I thought I started well. He had 140 points after the Thursday night game to my 20. I'm like, well, this is going to be a shit week. So, all good. It's okay. What are you going to do? There's my rant for the week.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry about week. No, you know what it is? Last week I got hammered by the DeAndre Swift breakout. And the week before it was Tyreek and Tua. I'm getting hammered by these spike weeks that randomly happen. So the two dudes that blow up that week, I'm getting smashed by them. It's every week. I always make. And Mario Balotelli pulls his shot. It's why I always Mario Balotelli at this point. He's a football player.
I guess. Yeah, well, it was Italy, right? He played internationally for Italy.
Man City and Italy. And he had this thing where he do stupid thing, but he wore a shirt under his shirt when he'd score or do something. It says, why always? Why always?
Yeah, I remember Italy made it to a Euro Cup semifinal recently, and I remember seeing him. Yeah, I think the final. I think they lose to Spain.
Incredibly, one of the most enigmatic human beings that have walked the planet. An odd unit, but he's got a point. I'm just waiting. I know next week, whoever I'm playing is going to have that random, massive week from someone you don't see it happening from. It's that's me again. I can feel it. It's going to be my luck this year.
So I think what you need to do is on Thursday, screenshot who your opponent is playing, and then we know, okay, those are the players that you make sure you put them in every lineup, everyone. I'm just betting on them. I'm going to bet on my opposition players. So if I win, I make money. If they win, if they lose, then that's a good thing as well, I guess. And where do you play these contests and not bet, Dan? Because it's not gambling.
I would head over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code GF2 for 100% matching deposit up to $100 on your initial outlay. And for those who joined us last week, you would have got 500 for 500.
But you didn't last week, so you can get 100 for 100 this week.
There you go.
No.
Well, we go 20%. Speaking of 20%, how are those odds looking tonight, Kyle? What do we got? Green Bay at Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, I'll pull that up right now. Ooh, fancy graphic. And it's rounded, too. Kind of like the G logo, which is rounded. And not because Dan likes the rounded ones instead of the square ones. I want to appease him.
Do like
but yes, Green Bay road underdogs. We're back to the home team actually being favored, right? And this seems like the one week where I don't know. I think it was pretty shocking for all of us to see that they're still underdogs. The quarterback just being cleared from concussion protocol, the number one receiver being questionable. I guess the news to that is Davante Adams is playing. Aaron Jones is out for the Packers. So is Devondre Campbell at middle linebacker. But Jair Alexander at cornerback returned. So the Alexander covering Adams matchup that we've always dreamed about in Packers practice, and now we get to actually see in a game. Unfortunately, Adams is getting cold, but that's fine. I guess that's okay. So yeah, but all that to say, the Raiders are favored by 2, and for the third time this season, we made a choice either on the higher, lower, or on the team spread that was unanimous across the board. All 3 of us went with the Packers as 2-point underdogs. So we in our previous 2 we've split. We what was it, week 1 we all took the lower on the Bills Jets game, which that I think not only if you'd taken half the lower, I think that you still would have been right on that. But we all took the Browns as 2-point favorites a few weeks ago. So now we get back to another 2-point, this time the underdogs. So we'll see if we can, as a group, go 2-1 on our unanimous selections. But obviously, we want to get those individual point totals, especially me, because I'm lagging really far behind. Gladys is still winning, 11-5-2. Dan's 10-6-2. I'm 5-11-2. I've gotten 1 pick right in the last 5 games. So this is the Packers. I know I've been awful. So I'm hoping the Packers help turn it around here, and one of which will be Packers is 2-point underdog. So no one should listen to my advice. Maybe why did you guys? I mean, I picked the Packers for obvious reasons, right? But why did you guys pick the Packers?
I think the Packers are going to win clean. So taking a +2 makes no difference to me. Yeah, Gladys, what do you think?
I think the Packers are going to win by at least a touchdown, if not a touchdown and a field goal, at least 10 points.
So
Raiders
+2.
aren't. Josh McDaniels has proven that he's unable to coach a team to a win. Against the Broncos doesn't really count because they suck. And it's the same thing as last year, right? Even last year when they were ahead by multiple touchdowns going into the second half, he managed to mess that up and have them lose the game. I think that Jacobs is having a hard time. He's averaging 2.7 yards per carry. Devontae has a bad shoulder. He's going against Jair Alexander, which isn't good even on a good shoulder. The Packers pressure the 5th most of any team in the league, and Garoppolo is one of the lowest quarterback efficiency ratings on when being pressured. There's nothing good for the Raiders happening in this game. Maybe Jacobs can get going, but that's not going to be enough. With Watson back, I see Love having a really good night.
Yeah, Watson came back to the Thursday game. They didn't fully integrate him in the offense, it seems, but now that's a whole week and a half, and it seemed like he was somewhat limited in practice, but I think he practiced every day this week, so expect his role to expand. I agree largely on that. Yeah, I just think the Raiders suck. The O-line's bad, like you mentioned, so it's bad in the run game, it's bad for pass protection. Their defense isn't particularly good. Max Crosby's great, but outside of him, they can't get pressure from anyone. They can't really cover that well. There's not really anything they do well except Max Crosby is great. That's their. What are the good qualities of your team? Well, we got this Max Crosby guy. I meant as a team, not the individuals. Oh, well, Max Crosby.
That is what they have, Max Crosby.
And I mean Davante Adams and Jacoby Myers. It's a good duo of receivers, but
it is. And Garoppolo's good with them if he's not pressured. But unfortunately, that's what the Packers do. So lower your expectations on both Davante Adams and Jacoby Myers, which really hurts because I need Jacoby Myers to score lots of points today.
And potentially, sorry, Gladys.
Go ahead.
I guess I would also say lower on the point total is how both Gladys and I are thinking as well. Lower than
Jamie went over
45.5.
Jamie's going over in points.
Jamie's going over. All right. So let's see what Jamie's picking here. So he's taking the Packers to win. Of course, everyone is. That's the smart play, apparently. And over on the total points of 45.5. So Gladys and I are going lower. I'm thinking the Raiders struggle to score, and as much as I like the Packers are good, I also.
I'm with Jamie on this. I'm with Jamie.
Yeah, you went higher.
Yeah.
I was about to transition to you, but go ahead. Why do you think higher?
Yeah, I mean, look, 2 out of 3 games, he's thrown 2 touchdown touchdowns games as well. He's gone either 200 yards or 324. Like, he's done all right, Garoppolo. He's not good with pressure. We know that. I feel like both teams. I don't know how sold you guys are on the Packers at the moment. How sold are you guys on the Packers being better than what they've shown us?
Against the Raiders, or just as general team?
In general, I think they're okay. I don't think, with what happened against Atlanta was kind of disappointing. They should have been able to put a team like that away. And that gives me pause for concern. Because if you can't put a team like Atlanta away, it kind of makes me believe that a team like Las Vegas, who, they did well against Buffalo, they did okay against Denver, and they've done okay against them, done okay. I'm not convinced that they can put them away. I think both teams are good enough to score points. I think they're also bad enough to let the other team have their way a little bit as well. So I kind of feel like Green Bay can, I like the idea that I'm not a Packer. I love Aaron Jones. I think he's an incredible NFL running back and football player. I don't think anyone has a bad word to say about the guy. I hope he plays another 5 years. Probably won't happen, but it's one of those things where you hope the guy always does well. I don't think anyone will say anything other than that about Aaron Jones. However, AJ Dillon done for his life. He's absolute trash. And at this point, you've got to say, outside of what Wilson and Patrick Taylor, they're going to have to go through the air a little bit more than what we hope for. So we're talking about Green Bay's going to have to throw a little bit more. They're going to have to open it up. And if that's the case, then the Raiders might have to chase a little bit more too. So I'm kind of hoping that's the way that it looks. And if that's the case, Garoppolo, if he can go 250-2, then they should go over quite easily, I think.
Well, I mean,
I think Green Bay's. Green Bay hasn't allowed a quarterback to pass for more than 210 yards, and they played some pretty good teams. Garoppolo isn't.
Ritter
had the most.
Derek Carr
had the most on them.
And I mean, to be fair, the Lions didn't need to pass on them at all. They just ran through them. So,
right.
If Goff needed to, he'd have thrown 400 yards if he actually.
Ritter had the most passing yards against them. Ritter had 237 passing yards.
Which makes sense. They had the big lead. They were down by 12, and they just basically had to throw it that fourth quarter, even though Bijan was torching the Packers too.
If you're talking about teams being able to run on them, I don't know anyone better than Josh Jacobs at this point that be able to carry that. He's
averaging 2.7 yards per carry in those 4 games.
At that point,
2.7 yards per carry.
But this might be the worst run defense he's played yet, though.
There we go. Let's
I think they played the Broncos. I think the Broncos were like, hold my beer on that one. Yeah.
This is the second worst run defense he's played. And actually, I don't think he had a good game against the Broncos. He's like one of the only running backs who hasn't. So to that point.
But that was his first game back from his whole back.
I guess the one thing to your point, Dan, about the Packers maybe needing to pass more, that does also leave them susceptible to more rushing from Max Crosby. And I guess David Bakhtiari's out for the season, so that's Rasheed Walker at left tackle the rest of the year. Between him and Zach Tom, I think they're capable, but Crosby could still be a problem. And so in a pass-heavy system, I wonder if that does also lead to the Packers having mistakes and keeping their potential up. To your earlier question, Dan, you asked, are the Packers better than what they've shown? I mean, they've looked awful. They looked awful against the Lions, let's be real. I don't think the Raiders are as good as the Lions. Here I am praising the Lions. Like, God, I hate myself. But I think...
Don't hate yourself for being impartial, being a journalist. You can say these things. It's okay. I can say, if I can say Philly are Super Bowl favorites, you can say the Lions are okay. Don't hate yourself for it. All right?
Yeah, Lions are decent. All right, I guess. So the Packers have looked good, but their offense hasn't looked good for 60 minutes at a time. They've looked good for quarters, but then there's also spurts of games where they just do nothing for entire quarters, sometimes entire halves. So that's the one thing that's worried. They haven't really put that full 60 minutes together. I don't know that it's going to necessarily be this game without Aaron Jones. Once everyone's healthy, maybe after the bye week, that's when you really see this offense kick it to that top gear. But I think they're still a week away from that, so that's why, again, the motivation behind the lower. We can get to the individual player picks if either of you are ready. Want to stick with Garoppolo, Gladys?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Get on him.
So both of us actually picked Garoppolo, and neither of it's positive. It's all falling in line with the picking the Packers, right? So I'm going higher on something Garoppolo. You're going something lower, but neither of which is good for. Well, I'm actually going higher on Garoppolo for interceptions.
What was it?
The one thing that really set me on this one, and I wasn't hedging this time. I was undecided because I wanted to see who was active and who was inactive, because that was going to potentially change some of my decisions. one of which was the fact that Jair Alexander is active. That gives the Packers at least 2 really solid corners between him and Rasul Douglas. Also, safety Darnell Savage. I think the potential for interceptions is there. Garoppolo has thrown 1 interception at least in all 3 games this year he's played. He has 6 total in those 3 games. So I feel like eventually he's going to have a game without an interception. I don't think it's this game, though. I think maybe
What's the number? 1?
Half an interception.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone higher?
I figure he's gonna go 4 straight games with that interception. So we'll see.
That's a great bet.
You told me about
I went higher on a Garoppolo stats. Not necessarily positive for him though.
You told me about a pre-show, and I was like, "Go on, Kyle. Go on, get on the. Go on." It's like, yeah, I'll tell you the thing. Like when you told me that, I was like, man, like it's hard to pick an intercept. Like, okay, like when Trayvon Gordon, he was getting one every week for like 8 weeks. It's kind of tough, but like you're basically assuming that like he keeps his. You need him to kind of have that week where he has 40 attempts. Week 3? Like the previous 2, he was like 22, 23 give or take. So you need him to have that game where he's throwing it a lot. And if he does that like he did in week 3, I don't trust Garoppolo either to not throw an intercept at least. So it's one of those things when he told me, was like, oh, go on, that's a little tough one. I like it. Very proud of you, Carl.
With the Packers putting pressure on him, maybe that leads to mistakes as well.
Hey, all he has to do is like, all it takes is for like, it takes someone, all they have to do is just smash his arm while he's half throwing it, and it's just going to lollipop in the air, and there it is, there for the taking. I like it. I was waiting for 1 or 2 things. I had to find out Alexander was active or Adams was out. If it was the opposite, where they're both playing, but let's say Alexander was out and Adams is in, then I might have gone to one of the Packers tackles. But the lack of faith in Garoppolo is strong. So even with the news that Adams is active, Gladys, you're sticking with your Garoppolo pick, right?
Yeah. Can we go to Jamie's picks for a second? Like, I don't understand them. I don't.
All right. So he's probably putting like alternative lines and stuff, and
okay.
I think it's probably a big parlay, but yeah. So he bet $2 to win 50 with a 50% boost, plus 20, plus 2,400. Watson 2 touchdowns.
Okay, 2.
Then he bet 31 cents for Watson to score 3 touchdowns to win 20. So if he scores 3, he wins both bets. But that's kind of a nice little bonus.
So if he scores 3 touchdowns, then he wins $70. Is that right?
Looks like it.
On a
it's
$2
$70 for 31 cents. Yeah.
For $2.31. Okay, now I got it. I understand.
I've got one of my most important fantasy league that's still up. Has Watson, so I really hope you're correct. I'm up, so I wouldn't necessarily need a 3-touchdown Watson game to win it. My opponent has Jacoby Myers and was supposed to have Aaron Jones, but now they have to put in Patrick Taylor. So I got I think a 23-point lead or something. So I'm hoping that that's enough, that Myers doesn't just go completely crazy. We also have a question here from Alex.
Armida?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where the space was. Alex Armida?
I think it's all one word.
Yeah. So Alex, do you guys like the Packers at -2.5? -2.5. Okay. Yeah, because we were talking about the Packers as +2, but yeah, if you get like alternate lines, yeah, I think we all like the Packers to win outright. So
yep,
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Get you a bigger boost on that, sure. Yeah.
We're pretty happy about that. I think.
Okay, so in the weekly spread of the so weekly against the spread pool, it's at -2.5 for the Packers. Apparently, they know more than the odds makers who's at the line, because right now the actual line is Packers +2. But yeah, I think we all like the Packers to win outright. So
if the Packers were -2.5 today, I think we would have taken that as well.
I would have. Yeah,
I would
we would have said yeah. So I don't think we're all very off on that.
My Packers bias would have put a pretty high threshold for them to be favored to not take them, to be honest. But I think even the realistic expectation. So yeah, Packers -2.5. Go with it. Go Pack, go. But go Pack, or go Gladys, go for your Jimmy Garoppolo passing yards pick.
Lower than 241.5 passing yards. Green Bay Packers have not allowed a quarterback to throw for 240 yards on average, 7.5 yards per attempt a game. Garoppolo's per attempt is significantly under that. They pressure at the second highest rate in 3 games. Garoppolo has been among the worst quarterbacks under pressure. He has completed just 36% of his passes for 4.4 yards per average. And even on the games where he has So with Goff, he passed for 210 yards. Reynolds was the highest receiver with 69. With Carr and Winston, because that's the game that Carr got hurt, he had combined, they had 204 yards. Olave had 104 receiving yards. Ritter had the most passing yards against him, 237, with Drake London having 67, and Fields 216, with Mooney having 53. So even if Garoppolo gets to 200 yards, even if you assume that Davante Adams is going to have 100-plus receiving yards, that does not necessarily get Garoppolo past 241 unless both Adams and Myers goes off, and I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. I would prefer Myers to go off and Adams not. What's up?
They might have unlocked a little bit that last week. Jacobs last week, he went 8 for 81 through the air as well. That's something to take note of. Like that's where it came from too. That worries me now. I've seen him do that was with Aiden O'Connell though, right? So maybe they start to incorporate that because 8 for 81, that's madness for him.
They're going to need him to go through the air. But I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, I think, and I could be wrong, that you can run on the Packers. Is that wrong?
Oh yeah, the defensive coordinator Joe Barry. We talk about this all the time on Full Press Coverage Packers. He's a very pass head.
Then don't break.
Defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's always defending the pass. That's the importance. He doesn't give a crap how good or how bad the team defends the run.
Yeah, I remember that after one game, and I don't remember what it was. The head coach for the Packers was like, "We have to start trying to defend the run." So
we have to eventually start to try and attempt it.
Attempt to defend the run. So I think that if McDaniels, and we're giving McDaniels way more credit than he deserves, but yeah,
we are giving him credit though in the one spot where he's shown to be excellent is offensive play calling, right? So you have to think he just gets his head out of his butt and he calls a good game, right?
Yeah,
if he does, it's run heavy.
That would be Jacobs. Yeah.
Well.
Well, actually, one more question from Alex here. The over/under of 44. Now, Dan, this is pretty easy for you because you took higher or over at 45.5, so you're certainly taking over at 44.
Again, I think they're both good enough to put up points. I don't think they're good enough to stop them completely. So that's where I'm at with it. It's very lazy, but I could see this one going 28, 21, give or take. I still think it's winning quite easily, but I don't think the Raiders are bad enough to not be able to get to like 20 points. I think especially at home, I think they'll be able to.
They're not like the Panthers who are 0-5, right? Like they're not the worst team.
Kyle, if they lowered it, where's she getting these numbers from? Or he, her, them?
I don't know. I mean, again, the spread was from a weekly pool. Maybe it's from that same weekly pool, so the numbers are maybe a little different. Maybe this was the initial line set on Monday, and then they've shifted because of things.
So, are you going? If they go one more down, are you sticking with your pick, or would you go over?
I was actually pretty close at 45.5. I decided to go lower, but yeah, if you lower it to 44, that might be the pivot point where I'd maybe flip to higher. I don't know. I was going to ask you that. Is that low enough to make you go over as well?
So Carl's at 21.
Hold on. I'm looking at like the last 2 weeks, and granted, last week Garoppolo was out, but the Raiders have scored 18, 17, 10, and
the 10 points was in the win against
17.
Denver, right?
Yeah. No. The 17 was the win against Denver.
I know. I'm just messing with Denver.
So, as you should. So, I don't know where this resurgence is that they're gonna like all of a sudden, because the Packers aren't that bad at defense. I'm still gonna stick with lower. It's a Thursday night game too. It's a short week for some of them, for the Raiders, not for the Packers. But I'm sticking. I would still go on lower on that one.
Okay, so we're not quite as unanimous. I think Alex, the Packers minus 2.5 is probably the safer bet we consider.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mr. Scamper showed up, even though there's no cat in either logo of either team.
What up, cat?
He's made the sports Scampers for sure. And this is a great transition to the next point, Dan. You're not the only one taking Quay Walker. Mr. Scampers is going higher than Quay Walker on the combined solo and assisted tackles at 9. However, you're going a little bit different with Quay Walker.
I love it, and that feels like almost a safer bet than mine at 5 solo. However, I have gone Quay Walker higher than 5 solo tackles. You look at the teams that he's played against where they've had incredible run games, whereas we're looking at the Raiders this week having to lean on Josh Jacobs. You look at where they played Atlanta, Quay Walker, 17 tackles. 8 solo. They played last week. They had Detroit with David Montgomery with the ridiculous amount of rush attempts, 19 tackles total, which is madness, 10 solos. So I feel like that in that regard. In between that, they had 7 tackles combined against Atlanta, the Saints, which was a kind of hit and miss game. But 2 of his last 3, he's recorded 37 tackles. That would be 17 solo. I feel like Quay Walker's the guy that's going to have to lock horns with Josh Jacobs this week. He's going to have a lot of work in that regard, and I feel like they're going to have to force feed Jacobs. I feel like that's the way that they're going to break through at some point. And if that's the case, Quay Walker at 5 solo tackles, it feels quite easy for him to get the 6. I feel quite comfortable with that.
Oh my God. This is a Monday night game. Did I say Thursday night? My bad.
You did. We were trying to.
I didn't want to say
bad.
It feels like Thursday.
Yeah, we were hoping no one heard it, and we were gonna
heard
call you out.
in my head. It's okay.
It's all midweek. It's all midweek garbage, Gladys. It's all good. It's all the same.
Monday and Thursday, there's not much of a difference, really.
Only one game has gone over 40 points on a Monday night game, and that's the Cleveland game. Every other game, I don't see a lot of points being scored. Not, nothing against either team.
I should have gone the lower last week. I know it. Let's go higher. Let's see what happens. I went against my gut in a couple.
Talk about the Giants when I talk about them this week. We're not doing it.
Okay, yeah. So Packers game. To the point on Quay Walker too. Now that Devondre Campbell's out, the Packers do run a 3-4, so there are 2 inside linebackers. So regardless of Campbell being there or not, Walker would still be on the field, but he's maybe going to be the more sideline to sideline guy that's going to, like, Isaiah McDuffie's decent, and we saw him in the props. What was he at? He's at 6.5, I think, for the combined tackles. That was a little tempting as well, but I think no Devondre Campbell certainly probably means more responsibility for Quay Walker.
And it's indoors. I don't know. I mean, Love's completion percentage is shit, but he's like really good on those deep passes, and I think the deep passes is where the Raiders are going to get burned. Like, if he doesn't succumb to the Max Crosby effect, which is a big if, because Crosby is kind of like a beast, then he's going to be able to get those passes off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The Packers O-line last week against the Lions had no answer. They were awful the whole game. The D-line eventually stepped up and like stopped the run at some points, but for the most part, the Lions just won that game in the trenches from start to finish. Packers never had an answer. The thing is, the Raiders don't have the O-line to necessarily bully them,
right.
And I don't know that, like, outside of Crosby, they have the rest of the pressure. Because Aiden Hutchinson's good, but the Lions could also bring pressure from other spots, not just Aiden Hutchinson. He was a problem that never had an answer for. They may not have an answer for Max Crosby either, but maybe if he's the only one, Love can be able to step up and get around him. The problem against the Lions was the line would just collapse completely. You'd have to scramble outside the pocket basically every play. So.
And that's another good reason if you're betting Love on fantasy points to go with the ceiling, because he does have the legs to get away. And what were the rushing yards on Love for?
15.5. So
oof.
he doesn't run too much. He'll do it if he needs to, and there's no other option. But,
right.
I think so far this year, eventually he's hit that 2 games, but 2 of the games this year he's gone under 15.5. So he's not putting up. He's scrambling more like a Russell Wilson does, and Rodgers. Like he's trying to scramble to find space to pass more than scramble to run.
It almost looks like when he's scrambling, he's rushing to get to the line of scrimmage. It's weird. It sounds like he's that far deep. He almost breaks even with his rushing. He gets to the line and then he's out, so he doesn't lose anything. It doesn't feel like
he's just trying to avoid sacks more than actually like
a sack or an incompletion. He's kind of just like he's avoiding like an intercept. He's not throwing a bad pass. He's just running out. It kind of feels like
if he sees like I can hit this for the first down easily, I'll do it. But other than that, he's not. He's not going to necessarily.
It's a very mature way of looking at it, right? Like he's scrambling and he makes a bad pass and it's an intercept, or you know what? I'm just going to rush it back to the line. I might get 1 or 2, get out, get safe, no bad turnovers, and off we go again. We gain a couple yards.
Don't throw a bad pick. Don't fumble it trying to get the extra yards.
It's not like Trevor Lawrence. It's not like Trevor Lawrence where like he rushes up the guts and you're like, what's he doing? Please, for the love of God, legs first, down. Like it's one of those things.
Or
he
Anthony
does
Richardson.
Forward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, he's injured. But yeah, was there anything else to talk about this game other than go Pack Go?
Are you gonna keep doing that?
All game. I'm gonna nonstop, not stop, not. Okay.
How many games out of first place are they? Are they in second right now?
They are. I think they're a game back of the Lions. Because if they had won on Thursday night, they would be in first place. So. I think they're 2-2. The Lions are 3-1. So I mean, the Lions have a
Who did the
head-to-head
Lions
right
lose
now.
to?
Seattle.
They did lose to Seattle.
At home. Oh, at home. That's right. I
Yeah.
lost money on that.
Which happened last year too, actually.
Wait, so the Lions are 4-1.
Oh yeah, 4-1. Yeah, I forgot the win. Yeah, of course they beat the Panthers. Yeah, they're 4-1, and the Packers are 2-2. If they win this, they'll be 3-2 in a game back.
I think that's one of the bigger takeaways of the week. They had no Gibbs, no Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they still put up 45 points and coasted. They put away a team pretty easily, pretty early, without two of their worked-in players, with Jameson Williams coming out of nowhere with God knows what. Sam Laporta.
He doubled his career catch yesterday. It's so proud.
Sam Laporta scores 2 touchdowns as well.
Dude, Sam Laporta's no joke.
Like, this is like, I think quietly they are 100% for real. I really like what they're building. I'm not saying
Sam Laporta's what everyone thought.
I didn't hear you, Dan. You said that too quietly. No,
I don't believe for a second that they're not going to win their division. Put it that way. Go back.
I have faith the Packers might be able to pull the upset, but yeah, they are the favorite to win the NFC North right now. They have to be. They've already beat the Packers once. They're a full game ahead. Yeah, they're in the driver's seat.
The problem is, I'll tell you the difference at this point. And I'll say this is where I feel like the difference is at this point. Had it been Detroit and Atlanta, they wouldn't have let that slip. That's the
because they kicked the crap out of Atlanta the very next week.
That's what I'm saying. They're not letting teams like that get the better of them when they shouldn't. Green Bay, they're kind of
the Packers. They beat them early and they didn't really let them get back in the game.
That's where I'm at. That I think it's just a small thing, but at this point, I think the Lions are better. I feel dirty saying it, but I feel like they're better going for the jugular than Green Bay is, and I'm worried about that for them. They'll work their way into it through the end of the season. I think they'll be good towards the end of the season. I think they can get a run going, but I don't see why Detroit doesn't win this division now.
For sure. And from a Packers perspective, all that matters is the playoffs, and I don't think it's division win or bust when it comes to the playoffs. I don't think there's enough good teams in the NFC that they can't be a wild card team.
Yeah,
it'll be tough. I'm not saying it's easy, but they can do that, though. I think they could be a wild card.
The West will give you some problems if the Rams can kind of keep up. I think if the Rams kind of keep up.
The Seahawks, they might say.
I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks get into that. I think they get a spot without question at this point. Dallas at this point.
Fair.
Dallas will have enough weak games coming where they can get away with it. So
against Washington, right? That's the division opponent they beat up on.
They'll beat up us again. It doesn't matter that, but you have to worry about that. But I think if you said between Seattle, Dallas, and Green Bay, I think Green Bay would miss out.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to pick against Dallas for sure. As bad as Dak's played,
is it
legit?
Is it tough to pick against Dallas? I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
So Dan, whose kneecaps do we have to break to get Underdog Pick'em's prize picks legal in New Jersey?
Well,
for Brian Ford, who's from New Jersey and also on the Dynasty Saturday Night 5.
Might be safer.
On the Go Live Network.
Might be safer for you just to cross the bridge, Brian, mate, because I know how you guys roll in New Jersey. I'm not trying to take anyone's kneecaps out there, mate. I'm not stupid enough. I've been to a Devils game once. I left at halftime or second quarter. Went before the third period. I just bounced.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't care. I don't watch your sport. It's a weird sport. You run around on skates with a stick. It doesn't make any sense. But I left within like a period to go, and I was like, these guys are freaking nuts. I'm out of here. It was just a random game. It was like the Devils and Minnesota. Some dude from the Devils was back from Minnesota.
Zach Parise.
I was at that game with his first game back in New Jersey.
Oh, Zach Parise's return game. That's nice.
And I was like, oh, they really don't like him? And I don't even care. I don't like either team. I'm just here because I got free tickets, and I'm like, I'm leaving. These guys are freaking nuts. So it might be easier.
Yeah, he just left as a free agent. He didn't get traded at all. And when it came to that summer, he and Ryan Suter both like, let's go back to Minnesota because they're both from Minnesota. So they're like, let's go play with the Wild. And the Devils lost their captain and at that point best player for nothing. So yeah, I think
sounds like a perfectly logical and rational thing to do. Hey, I'm going to go back to my hometown and give back, and they just given it to him. And I was like, I can't be here right now. I got to go. I can't. And I left, and that was it.
It's funny because they had made it to the finals like 2 years before, and
that was I think I saw that was like one of Brodeur's last games. Martin Brodeur.
Yeah, nothing but that. Yeah.
You know what? I nearly like screwed up the pronunciation by calling him a goalkeeper then, because that's the soccer guy in me, right? I was about to call him a goalkeeper instead of a goaltender. There you go.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
I nearly lost any half of credibility that I had.
I've never been to a Devils game, so
It's a kind of cool atmosphere. I've been to a couple. I've been to an Islanders game, and I've been to a Rangers game, a Devils game, and a Stars game. It's all interesting. I'll break some
kneecaps to get it in Ohio, the underdog.
Well, to be fair, if anybody needed like broken kneecaps, it's people from Ohio. Like people in Jersey, I ain't messing with them, but from Ohio, not enough.
Who are the hypocrites? Oh man, Brian, we have to leave in like 15 minutes. I don't think we have time to cover that question.
Yeah, it's a long one. We're gonna get to that.
We're just gonna stick with football.
Yeah, we're gonna stick to football. But yeah,
what's all this fuss about underdog? Well, again, join underdog and find out. Use the promo code GF2 or scan the QR code. That'll probably be the last time we do it. One thing I do want to plug though is the Going for Two Discord and goingfor2.com. Frankly, our website, we've got rankings, articles, and on the website there is access to the Discord through there. So goingfor2.com, check it out. Get on the Discord, get amongst it. Lots of great conversations, chats happening every day on the goingfor2.com Discord.
Way to go, Jamie. I don't know what your Steelers bets were, but
Mickey Thrashers here, which is hilarious that we just talked about the Devils, the Wild, and we talked about the Atlanta Thrashers, part of that 99 expansion.
Right. The Atlanta what?
Oh, Atlanta Thrashers. It used to be a hockey team, but then they had to move and become the new Winnipeg Jets because the old Winnipeg Jets moved to become the Arizona Coyotes, which hopefully eventually moves because that team is a disaster. Yeah, hockey's complicated. Mickey Thrasher says, Raider defense tonight. Jordan Love can't do nothing but throw the ball tonight. Prediction 7-8 sacks, 2 picks. Adams MVP, my call.
That's murder.
That's murder. That's fun.
That's a Daniel Jones stat line. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Mickey Thrasher, welcome to Monday Night, you lunatic.
I think they're called Lakers.
Oh my God.
Apparently, Jamie won all his Steelers bets this week. So apparently, he learned his lesson after seeing his team get beat up quite a lot.
Oh,
I think he trash talked all that week on the Wednesday show.
He did.
The B League's Pick'em show.
All he did was trash talk the Steelers.
Me?
Show.
No, Jamie.
Jamie.
No, I wouldn't do that.
No, Jamie did. But you should still check out the B League's Pick'em show anyway because it's
Wednesday 1 p.m. Mountain Time.
I got a weird feeling Gladys is watching, so I've got to watch my tongue. It's like shit. I got to just make sure Gladys doesn't tune in.
I am watching.
One time I was like absolutely giving it to the Browns, and then Jamie popped up. It was like Beetlejuice. It was wild. Oh, there he is.
You say it Browns 3 times. It happens.
Shit, he pops up. Yeah.
Well, I'd rather Beetlejuice pop up than Deshaun Watson showing up.
Wow.
I mean, that is a legit truth, though. I'm not even joking. I'm making a factual statement there. Anyway.
You know what?
Wow.
Yeah. Dan, did you want to talk about anything? I noticed a few things in the show sheet. I noticed the name DeMarcado, which that might merit some explanation.
I am off the point where Kyle's talking about Deshaun Watson creeping up on him. So that's where I'm at. But no, I think we're at that point of the year where like those backup running backs who you think are useless that people have cut from their taxi squads and all that sort of stuff, go get them. Now's the time. People are starting to run through running backs pretty damn quickly. DeMarcado, Wilson, obviously tonight we're talking about Dante Foreman. I've seen cut in a few leagues. Go pick him up. Like these are the guys you got to go get again. Look, Jeff Wilson might have been cut from a few leagues because of Devon Achane and Mostert and all that. Go pick these guys up if Achane.
Because Achane's already injured again.
There we go. Like
is he injured?
These are the guys that you can.
There's apparently a potential MCL sprain is what he's being.
Add and flip. That's the thing. I'm just looking at these guys from a purely far off perspective. I've picked up Jordan Mason in a few leagues because like
Mitchell's out now. He's the main backup. Yeah.
There we go. So like, there's dudes like that are out there that you might be able to just grab and flip. And I'm not the dynasty guy. Believe me, I'm not. We have way too many good dynasty content creators going for 2, including the Dynasty Saturday Night 5 guys and the Gambit guys and everyone else that we have going on, but I feel like we're at that point where
there's a Saturday Night 5 guy right now, Brian.
There we go.
Apparently, they're all the same person though. So are they 5 or are they 1? Well, one person.
Jamie Scampers, Toronto Dave, maybe all of Toronto's one person. Who knows?
As long as as long as you know how to differentiate, Brian, I don't think there's any problems. You can figure out which one's which. You're doing good, but it's one of those things. Like I feel like we're at that point of the year, like maybe a Blackshear or Chuba Hubbard's been dropped. Like these are the dudes you got to go get because it's at that point where you got to find these guys and start to make a move because they could be worth a lot in a few weeks' time, and they might come good for you in the end. Like that's where we're at. It's time to
Roshan Johnson.
He's
Roshan Johnson. Oh look, I said it 3 times. Jamie appeared. He's correct.
Yeah.
He appears whenever Roshan is said. But to that point, with Khalil Herbert injured, and I know I did this in the league or a couple leagues where I've dropped Dante Foreman. I'm gonna try and go pick him back up again, but go see because now Foreman and Roshan will probably split, and based on how much like the Bears were still running, and like I don't expect Roshan to get absolutely every touch. I think he's going to be the main guy, but maybe Foreman has been inactive because he doesn't play special teams, and now that Herbert's out, maybe Foreman comes in as the starter. I don't think that's the case. I'd imagine Roshan will be the guy. I'd rather start Roshan next week, but you never know. You never know how the Bears are going to play it. They've got really stupid coaches there, so you have no idea what they'll do. I'm so happy Luke Getsky is not the Packers offensive coordinator. With like when Hackett left, they're like, yeah, we're not even gonna have Getsy. We're gonna go somewhere else to get the OC. Like we'll go to the offensive line guy. We're not even gonna go to our quarterbacks / wide receiver / what do you even do in the team because it's Aaron Rodgers? What do you really do as a quarterbacks coach? Because clearly you can't help Fields. So yeah. Why did the Falcons draft Fields? They could avoid this whole thing.
I think Dan needs to go.
Pitts. Also, they could draft the tight end highest ever just to not use it.
But we'll let him continue. I think Dan needs to go.
Yeah,
he has familial obligations, family obligations.
I gotta go. It was good to see you guys this week. I'll be back in a fortnight. It's not the name of a game. It's actually.
I don't play that game, so I have no idea what that even means.
No, I'm from a place where a fortnight is real. It's vernacular. It's not a game.
Oh, how long is that?
Not a game, Kyle.
It's 2 weeks.
Fortnite is 2 weeks. Oh, so you'll be back for the what is 2 weeks from now? I had that written down. 49ers Vikings.
Oh, got another fucking.
Dan will be back in 3 weeks. I'll be back for that game.
Not another fucking 49ers game. Oh, I'm so sick of it. I'll give you my prop now. I'll give you my prop now. 49ers over McCaffrey, half a rushing touchdown. We're good.
All right, we'll set it up for next week.
All right, I got to bounce. Have a good week.
Yeah,
bye, Dan.
Dan.
Have a good one.
Bye. Cheers.
See you Wednesday.
Hey, Gladys.
Hi, Kyle. How are you?
Good. Those AI created schedules.
I maintain that they should just take that Buffalo game off their record because the fact that Jacksonville got to stay there and they had to fly in is just ridiculously not fair.
Could we also point out though how Buffalo really could have done better and not flown out on Friday? They really could have and should have flown out on Monday or Tuesday, and I think that alone would have been enough to mitigate it. Guy Boucher, who is currently he's the unassistant coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's a former head coach in the NHL. He's also been a head coach for Team Canada at various levels, World Juniors, World Championships, and part of the Team Canada travel policy they have. And he truly believes this: for every hour that you're shifting in terms of time zones, you need that many days to recharge. So if it's 5 hours, 5 time zones from Buffalo to London, they should have gone 5 days before the game. So if they go Tuesday, because they looked like they were sluggish and slow to start that game. And they came back really late, but it was too late by that point. They couldn't come back enough. They would have needed the onside kick if they recover that maybe, but a slow start really cost the Bills. If they go on Tuesday and they're practiced there all week and their body's adjusted, that might not happen. So I blame the Bills. They had all week. They could have traveled. They chose to go on Friday. So to me, that's on Buffalo. That's on Sean McDermott. And as good of a coach as he is, he's also made some really questionable decisions during his tenure.
Yeah, this is true, but I still
Nathan
think
Peterman over Tyrod Taylor for that one game when you were in a playoff race and almost lost the playoff race, if not for Andy Dalton beating the Ravens the last week of the season. They literally almost blew that, and that would have been the reason they missed the playoffs. So,
I don't know. I why would you do that though? Why would you schedule a team back-to-back games in London if they're playing the same team? I could see it be okay, but.
Would it be so if let's say that they're giving the Jags 2 games? I'm sure that's a volunteer. They're That's the owner,
pretty
Study
sure,
Khan,
yeah.
choosing to want 2 games. But regardless, though, wouldn't it make more sense to schedule those back to back?
For
Like
the
to have
Jags, yes.
Jacksonville.
For Jacksonville, yes, it makes a lot of sense for Jacksonville to schedule it back to back. For the rest of the league, I'm not so sure. No.
Well, I don't think
Uh,
anyone cares with Buffalo, to be honest.
what?
I don't
Well,
think anyone cares besides Buffalo, to be honest. Like, the other teams didn't have to
probably,
compete.
everybody else in that division cared, in Buffalo's division.
True, yeah, I mean, any win, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a division where any win could get it in. But again, I still attest, like, as a fan of the Packers who seem to travel poorly, and it's a lot of stuff like that. Oh, they're gonna go to the West Coast for a Sunday night game. Let's leave Saturday morning. Like, no, why? Usually it's Friday night, but still, like, they could do things to better that travel time. And oh, we don't practice at our regular facility. Who cares? It didn't seem to affect the Jaguars. They didn't fly back to America just to go to their practice facility, right? So, like, I just feel like, again, the Bills could have avoided that completely. Probably go on Tuesday. They probably win the game.
It was an experiment. We're gonna experiment with your season. Is that okay? Yeah, let's do it.
Again,
Yeah.
though, I mean, like, the Bills could have remedied the situation, but they didn't. So I still put it on the Bills. I still put that on Sean McVay or whoever, like, maybe it's the Bills GM that didn't let them. I don't know. Like Terry Pagula. Let's talk about NHL owners. But yeah, did you see Kelsey fall in that play? I figured
No.
out why he went down. Have you seen the Rocky movies? Mickey told Rocky that women weaken the leg, so I blame Taylor Swift. Who's
Is
Mickey?
that what Mickey was the corner
Oh,
guy?
the
Yeah, corner
the
guy.
trainer, the coach,
The corner guy. Guy that
yeah.
helped him in his corner.
Right, okay.
That is assuming that Kelsey and Taylor Swift are having sex, which I highly doubt.
I
Highly
heard the
doubt.
Saturday morning show where you. It's funny because I was wondering if we were going to talk about this, but my wife Victoria, when it first happened, she was skeptical, and part of it was like, I've read enough romance movies to, like, where there's a lot of the fake romances that are meant to be real and they're not.
Yeah,
And of course, in the romance novels, they always end up turning real anyway, but it always starts fake, which might be the case. It might end up being real, but if it is fake.
I doubt this turns real. I highly doubt it.
Well, again, it might already be real, but your assumption is that
Yeah.
it's not. So
No, and my assumption's really good. My superpower. I read people.
I do trust your judgment. So
But I mean, more power to them. Both. It's like a revenue stream for everyone involved. So why would you not do it? Even Monica.
I don't know if Taylor's necessarily getting that much out of it, but it seems like she's having a fun time.
like,
so
does she need a revenue stream?
I mean,
she worth like
did
$1 billion or
she-
something?
Well, yeah, I was thinking, like, her last world tour grossed the most ever, and I think
Yeah.
she's got more shows coming up. So yeah, I think she's
And
doing fine.
I think the tour is like they're making it a movie, and the tickets have already sold out. So yeah, I don't think she needs help in that revenue stream thing, but I'm pretty sure that it's not hurting her career.
No, I don't think anything at this point will. Goodell in an interview said they wanted to see if there was a competitive advantage or disadvantage to having a team overseas for more than a week. Bills were the guinea pig. Again, though, if you're the Bills, why? So were they forced to travel Friday? Like, did the NFL say you cannot travel on Tuesday? You have to travel Friday? Because if not, it's the Bills' fault. If it is, then it's the NFL. But like, they could have made the choice to travel Tuesday, and it probably mitigates it all completely. Because that is the 5 days you'd need to probably adjust properly.
That's a theory. That's a theory that you have.
I mean, it's a
It's
theory
a
that a lot
theory
of
that you have.
it's a theory that a lot of high event, high intensity athletes and coaches have had as a philosophy for teams that often play international schedules. Like, this is a Hockey Canada kind of policy that they've looked into, and there's a lot of, and I guess Guy Boucher has mentioned there's a lot of stats behind that. It shows that in his experience, he's also seen it. So I believe it to
Still
be
a theory.
true. It is a theory, and so I guess that's why I don't care that the Jags played 2 games, because the Bills, again, could have gone Tuesday, and I think it's totally fine.
I agree with Brian.
All right. Well, I might be wrong, but we'll honestly never know, because the Bills will not allow us to know. So thanks again, Sean McVay or Sean McDermott. I have nothing wrong with Sean McVay. He's always doing great. Last year sucked though for the Rams.
Yeah, I don't know that she wanted the Fantasy Bros as a demographic that she was after, but yeah, more power to her. It's Fantasy Bros demographic.
Yo, check out my lineup.
She's like,
that's my Fantasy Bros voice.
yeah.
Kind of heard I might need some water after that. We're devolving, aren't we? Though.
Yeah, we are. Are we done? We're done.
Well, is there anything you want to share? Because we've let Dan
No,
rant.
no.
I've ranted so much on this show. So if you want to rant,
I'm not into sharing. I'm not into
okay.
sharing.
Right. Well, one thing I will do is just share our picks once again with everyone. So all three
Okay.
of us, Dan, Gladys, and myself, we all took the Packers as 2-point underdogs. Gladys and I both took the lower on 45.5. Dan went higher. And then Gladys and I both took Garoppolo props. I took Garoppolo higher than half an interception. Gladys took Garoppolo lower than 241.5 pass yards. I got that number correct, right?
Yeah. It's
Right.
at 237 in some books I saw.
I think the one Dan sent us earlier was 237, but
Yeah.
we'll go 241. That's fine.
Okay.
Locked it in. And then Quay Walker, higher than 5 solo tackles, the Packers linebacker. So
It's tackles and assists or just tackles? Oh, Jamie was tackles. and assists.
just solo tackles, yes. Solo
Okay.
tackles 5, and then yeah, the I think was it Scampers that had the Quay Walker line for
Or was it Scampers or Jamie?
Scampers, yeah,
Scampers?
had 9, but that was the solo and tackle assists.
Okay. Good luck, everyone, on your picks
Yeah, absolutely.
got-
And
tonight. Good luck on the Packers. I hope they win.
thank you. I hope so too. Glad your Steelers
Yeah.
got the win. Sorry about Dan Giants, and yeah,
Cleveland
we'll.
was on a bye, so didn't matter.
Yeah, there you go, Jamie. You didn't have to see a loss. They play the 49ers next. Good luck, Jamie. They're at home at least. The home fans
Oh,
can watch
yeah,
the
that's gonna be
49ers.
great.
All those
Dogtown
Cleveland
Film. Love
fans get to
that.
see Christian McCaffrey in person.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they thought they would get to see an elite running back a lot this year. They got him for one game at home, I think. And,
Oh, Jamie, you need to get off that hill, buddy. You need to get off that hill. It's dying on that hill.
In the end, I guess Scampers is a Panthers fan. That would make sense, Sir Per. Yeah, we'll ignore the Panthers, and we'll just actually end it all. Thank you, Scampers, Brian, Jamie, Alex, the dude with the Lakers. Oh, Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all
Thank
for
you, guys.
joining us. Be sure to check out all the great shows on the Going for Two Live network. Tomorrow night there'll be Speak On It, the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. Wednesday's the Armchair Show, and of course Dan's show, the B League Pick'ems show, and Dynasty Gambit Thursday nights, the Armchair DFS on Friday nights, the Dynasty Saturday Night 5 show with Brian on Saturday nights. Jamie is on the cheat sheet as well, so if you want more Jamie comments, fairly tame tonight, to be honest. So
Yeah.
we still love interacting with Jamie. If you want more access to him, of course, check out the cheat sheet tomorrow. Saturday mornings in no particular order. I think I'm coming on Saturday.
You are there on the Saturday.
All right, let's do that.
Kyle, and hopefully it will be the Shannon Blair Witch Project.
That's true. Camping Shannon.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that'll be Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Gladys gets up bright and early. 11:05. Right. Yes. 9:05. Yeah. You would need time to get back from the market, of course.
I do need time to get back from the market, even though they're never on fucking time. But I do.
Just say you need us to push back the time because everyone else is late.
Exactly.
For more market related rants, check out In No Particular Order on Saturdays and B League's rants show on Wednesday.
And Philly's kicking the Braves' ass again. Sad.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, Braves. It seems like all the 1 seeds were losing. The Orioles, the Dodgers, the Braves. So yeah, it's all the
Dodgers got stomped.
upsets.
That was painful. I had to turn it off.
Again,
bad for them.
And the Blue Jays they pulled such a Toronto move by losing to a team that hadn't won a playoff series since before the last time the Leafs won a playoff series. It's very Toronto.
I'm sorry about that.
I don't care. I mean, whatever. I'd like to see the Blue Jays do well, but there's so many other sports I care so much about that whatever. I'm not even going to bother or worry carrying. I have that feeling about the Raptors this year too. I will say though, the one team that will always make me cheer is Go Pack Go.
We'll see you guys later.